Right, folks. So today's case study, sort of client case study, is a masters lifter called Andy. So Andy came to me not having done any like Olympic style weightlifting at all. Really, he'd done some gym work. He'd done I think various sort of like gym style training. He wasn't inactive by any stretch of the imagination, but he'd never done weightlifting. So he's coming to me. He's got like mobility things to work on, technical things to work on, and we had to start completely from fresh. So if you're a brand new lifter, or especially a masters lifter, or someone that hasn't approached the sport, then these are some of the things that we might end up doing. So a really good example, what we have Andy doing right at the start is literally he's just putting in the work with an empty bar. So you can see in this video here, he's getting himself set up. I've asked him to record himself so I can see the lift. And we're just working on getting the start position set up, getting the chest up, getting back nice and tight. We're working on getting his knees out of the way and getting underneath the bar. And as you can see, it's a work in progress, The timing isn't quite there. There's a bit of a delay. He's over pulling on the bar. But what we are working on, what you can see he's doing every single time, he's just working on reinforcing a good posture. He's working on receiving that bar nice and smooth. And you do notice that, yes, he overpulls. There's definite technical issues, right? He doesn't even have lifters yet. He's just lifting in Converse, okay? Because he's a brand new lifter. He doesn't have the kit. But he's working on reinforcing that catch position, catching in a good position every single time. Even if he catches the bar too high, he's following it down into an overhead squat. He's been diligent. He's putting in the work. He's recording his sets, and he's looking to improve every single time. And this is what we did for weeks, just looking to improve and improve and improve. And he does. Eventually, he ends up with more weight on the bar. So you can see a similar drill that we do with more weight. I think we're up to about 35 now. Chest up. We're looking at those positions. And we're getting underneath the bar. And as you can see, there is still some of the same technical stuff we're still going to have to work on. The bar, there is over pulling. He needs to work on the timing underneath, which I consider to be more an early intermediate kind of thing. Even it's a classic intermediate, the classic quintessential intermediate thing to work on is the timing from second pull to third pull. But I think in Andy's defense, what he does very, very well here, and what we worked on, is receiving that bar smoothly. He's working on posture. He's making sure that he's not got a rounded back. His chest is up. Knees are out of the way. He's trying to work on getting a nice extension, getting smooth underneath the bar, getting those arms locked out. And I think it's really important that you see these kind of lifts in case studies, because this is what regular people lifting looks like. This is what it looks like when you are a masters lifter that's coming to the sport for the first time. We're inundated online with videos of phenomenal lifters, like Chinese athletes that are in their late 20s that have been lifting since they were 7 years old under the watchful eye of a coach since they were 7 years old. And we see these phenomenal, super powerful Colombian athletes, and we see, like, you go online, you see all these phenomenal athletes from around the world that are incredibly genetically blessed and have been watched by coaches since they were very, very young. And it gives you a very false idea of what weightlifting looks like for most of us, for beginners, when we get started with the bar. And it looks like hard work. It looks like putting in diligent effort, recording yourself over time, and trying to improve your technique. And what we're doing here, you can see Andy on every single rep, we're working on these ones, on making sure that front shin is vertical. One of his biggest issues to start with was that his knee was pushing way over his toes. So what we're doing here is we're working on reaching with that front heel and making sure that the shin's vertical, which he's doing fantastically. As we go on, what we do, as he got a bit more developed, is we'd work on having a bit more bend in that back leg and dropping his back knee down to where his hips were. But what we're trying to do is keep that front shin vertical. We're trying to make sure that he's catching with his spine, like nice and sort of vertical, his torso stacked. We don't want him to be like in an odd shape, which he isn't. So there's a lot of stuff he's doing well. And this is what beginner training looks like. Putting in diligent work with lighter weights, trying to move well, trying to make sure your body has a good posture, that you're training safely and effectively. And that's exactly what he did. So I think that's just a really good case study to kind of show what that beginner training looks like. And you can see with the cleans, we followed a really similar process. So we're getting set up. These are some heavy pulls again that we just do just to reinforce positional strength. Let me see if I can find you some cleans. Here we go. Again, we're just looking on keeping the bar close, keeping the chest up, simple postural things, and then we look to improve other elements over time. And a decent jerk. So that's what beginner training's like. That is beginner training in a nutshell. You can push your strength work, you can push your positional work, you can build up all the other bits, but the majority of your work is going to be technique. It's going to be a light bar. It's going to be just putting in good quality reps, holding yourself accountable, being diligent to putting in regular, frequent training, practicing the movements. And I think that's a really important case study for a lot of you to see, especially so if you are a slightly older lifter, a master's lifter, if you're a beginner coming into weightlifting for the first time, this case study could be really, really useful for you to look at, just to get a sense of what working with me might look like, what training might look like for you. I think that's just, it's really important to note how training looks versus how it looks in the world championship sort of training hall, you know. That'll be it for today, but hopefully it's just giving you a little bit of insight there. All right, I'll catch you in a bit.